Good morning and good afternoon. This is Monica Paolini from Sense of Healy. Today we're talking about the CBRS OnGo launch. We're all very excited about it. After quite some time, many companies have been working on it. It's finally commercial now. And today I'm going to talk about that with Neeraj Patel. He's the VP and GM and Software and Services Solutions at Radisys. Neeraj, it's great talking to you again.
Pleasure to be talking with you too, Monica.
So let's get started and talk a little bit about what is that Radisys is doing in the CBRS OnGo space.
So first of all, it's incredibly exciting times for the entire CBRS community. This has been bubbling for a while. There's a big ribbon cutting ceremony that's happening next week, and a lot of our customers, partners, and fellow CBRS compatriots are going to be there. So really, hats off to them and an amazing pat on the back from everybody here at Radisys. We have been involved with CBRS for a few years now. It's been a long journey. It's been a fun journey. We have a lot of our customers, a lot of our partners who are in this space, in the 3.5 gigahertz shared spectrum space, opening up lots of new avenues in terms of use cases and deployment models. Specifically for us, we also got involved with the WinF forum, and that then blended itself into the CBRS Alliance with the OnGo certification platform. So Radisys has actually been working behind the scenes, and there's a public press release with OnGo where we have put together the automation framework, the domain proxy, effectively the engine to test CBSD, the CBRS devices, both type A, type B. So that's one specific area where Radisys is involved. On the other hand, Radisys is involved in the actual devices, the CBRS, CBSD devices, where a lot of our customers are putting these devices together and are quote unquote powered by the mobility engine portfolio of protocol stacks for LTE, obviously TDD, but going beyond, we also help them with the SaaS agent, implementation of the SaaS agent, help them with the certification, the actual certification with the OnGo platform. And in some cases, we are also providing them the Evolve Packet Core, the EPC, cloudified as it enters into the SaaS server. So multiple touch points, and very, very glad, literally extremely excited that, finally we're going to start seeing a rollout of CBRS happening soon.
Yeah, it is, and you guys are doing so much in this space, and it's interesting because compared to other technologies where the sort of a commercial part comes slowly, here we've been waiting for so long because everybody is ready to go. So it's a great feeling that finally you can go move beyond trials, and the certification is going to be an important part of it. But before we get to the certification, what is your view of what is it going to mean for CBRS in the US market? And then let's talk about more specifically about certification and all the other aspects.
Sure. So if you look at CBRS, I mean, this the 3.5 gigahertz spectrum, the shared spectrum, right? 3.5 to 3.7. It's sort of a locked up liquid gold waiting. Now that spectrum has been made available, you see literally a lot of new entrants. So yes, you obviously always have the incumbent service providers, but you're getting a lot of new entrants, folks that you didn't really associate with providing wireless service, jumping into the fray. So you have the cable operators or the cable companies, MSOs that are coming in, you have new MVNOs, you have OTT players who are jumping in, saying that, hey, we can provide this as a service. And it's literally breaking down the barriers, especially when you look into private enterprise, private LTE networks, or private networks, I should call them, applications like, mining or stadiums. You look at some of these tower companies, we know the names. They're all playing a very, very active role within CBRS Alliance. And I think at last count, there's like more than 200 odd companies that are part of the CBRS Alliance. So that just shows you that this is really wide in terms of reach, and the use cases where typically it would have been really expensive to get quote unquote a signal. Now they're using this shared spectrum, and you have devices, the most recent being the iPhone 11, 11 Pro, right? 11 and 11 Pro. They all now claim that they support band 48, which is critical because now you have the device ecosystem. I think at last count, there are like 11 or 12 different devices that are already supporting band 48. So the entire ecosystem is coming together, and you have these new incumbents who are providing this service as well. And it's really opening up opportunities. And if you look at the food chain, someone like a Radisys, who typically was focused more with, the pure telco sort of model, now with CBRS, it's opening it up not only to regular telecom service providers, but to this new class of service providers that is coming out. So that and the WISPs, right? The regional WISPs are also jumping onto CBRS because it's a model by which they can provide effective wireless service to regions that were underserved. So really excited about where we find ourselves in the market overall for CBRS.
Absolutely, and I have my phone already has CBRS enabled, so I'm itching to get it to use.
And I assume you'll be there on Wednesday, and you'll be one
Absolutely.
of the people.
Absolutely, and I look forward to it.
Great.
So the interesting part about one of the interesting parts is that for CBRS, as I said, there's a lot of new entrants, but there's also the incumbents. So everybody's really working on the same it's on the same page, and this is enabled because of the sharing of the spectrum, which is going to allow you for a much more efficient and intense use of this goal that we have in 3.5. But that also raises the issue of how can everybody coexist, and that's where I think certification comes in. So if you have your private network and you're only doing it, and you don't have to work with anybody else, then interoperability becomes much less of an issue. But here it's going to be crucial that everybody can play together. So what is the role of certification in all of this?
It's a great point. So we know that if you look at the telecom market overall, a very broad telecom market, one of the key cornerstones of success for telecom is interoperability. If you look at some of the things that are happening, and not to digress, but even if you talk about O-RAN Alliance, within O-RAN Alliance, what is the big thing that they're driving is to drive interoperability because you want open standards, open interfaces, open architectures. Coming back to CBRS, one of the key things is that, yes, while we are taking the shared spectrum, there has to be some level of enforcement of how the spectrum can be used. So the first level of enforcement obviously is when it is available, right? When the Navy is not using it. That's where the SAS server is a critical component that comes in, sitting in the cloud, in the core of the network. There are multiple companies, the Googles, the CommScopes, the Federated Wirelesses of the world. They're all playing a huge role in the SAS server. The SAS server obviously needs an agent to talk to, and that's where the SAS agent comes in. So think of this as a master slave or a client server kind of relationship. And you have the SAS agent, which is on every CBSD, or in simpler terms, on every CBS device, on every access point. And then you have the devices that connect to it. So now comes in certification, and how do you ensure that the device is transmitting and doing what it is supposed to do in a regulatory compliant model. That's where the FCC obviously comes in, and they have specs out there saying that this is the FCC regulation by which you can transmit in terms of power levels, interference, what have you. Then you also have the CBRS Alliance, which has actually formed the OnGo certification platform, by which they can then say that all the CBSE devices are going to have a uniform way in which they will now be talking the device to the CBSD and the CBSD to the SAS server. So that's where OnGo certification comes in. And there are a lot of test cases, interoperability test cases that are written. Radisys has taken a forefront, working with obviously the CBRS Alliance for OnGo certification. And we are fueling and writing those test cases on behalf of OnGo. So that's every vendor who comes in has to go through a rigorous set of compliance checking, both obviously with the FCC first, and second, ensuring that they can then work against this automated test platform that has been created. And it's automated, which makes it faster, easier, so that we can then ensure that each and every device has got the approval of OnGo. It is OnGo certified by CBRS Alliance before you're now getting into the market where you can provide this service. So I think that this two-pronged approach really ensures that to the users, end of the day, we are providing a service for users. They have the same level of compliance, quality of service, and in terms of features, in terms of knowing what the common baseline is for what to expect from the service, the same experience that they would say on a public LTE network, or now I should say a public 5G network.
Either way, yeah. So let me ask you a question to clarify. When somebody goes and buys their phone, their iPhone with CBRS, do they need to worry about the certification?
They don't need to, because if they're buying one, that device has already been certified. So the iPhone, for example, has been certified by the FCC to operate in band 48. When they connect up to a CBRS or a CBSD device, that CBSD device can only be working once it has gone through the certification of OnGo to ensure that, yes, it is in compliance with all the specifications of CBRS Alliance.
Yeah, so for the users, like the access users, the people with a phone or whatever, there is no impact directly on that. So the importance of the CBRS Alliance certification is for the users, meaning the people that are using access points. Yes. There's always, because we talk about devices in CBRS and OnGo, but really what we mean is it's an access point.
Simply, yeah. In a very simplistic manner, think of it as a user, mm-hmm. you are transparent in terms of, when I use this service, I know that this is all certified, this is all in regulatory compliance. So it, for me, should be as seamless as using my femtocell or cell phone booster at home. I'm not going there trying to check, can my phone connect to it? Is this device allowed in the network? Am I not doing something that is going to spook up the network? All of that has been taken care of before I connect to that small cell device at home. In the same manner, if I'm a private enterprise and I have deployed 3.5 gigahertz, or I'm Disneyland and I've deployed 3.5 gigahertz all across it, I should be able to connect to it in a completely seamless fashion.
Yeah, so if you're Disneyland again, you just go get your equipment, and as long as it's certified by the FCC, certified by the CBRS Alliance, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about interoperability and the interoperability and working the relationship with the SaaS. Correct?
All the magic that happens of the signal going from your device to the CBSD access point, from the access point getting onto the SaaS server so that you can actually get the permission to start operating in the CBRS band, is seamless to you and me as users.
Yeah, right. So there are specifications from the CBRS Alliance that are used for the testing, correct? Yeah. So how can you tell us a little bit about how is the testing working? And you mentioned automation. What does automation give you in terms of?
So we have created a test framework based on the specifications of CBRS Alliance and OnGo. So this is an automated framework that has hundreds of test cases that are written, and we'll add additional test cases to it as they become available. There's a domain proxy, and we check today the certification that Radisys is involved in is to enable the test cases. Radisys does not certify. We are not the certification house. It is OnGo. Just wanted to clarify that. We are working behind OnGo to help them write these different test cases, support them as they introduce new test cases. So we are sort of the engine behind OnGo, who's the certification authority, or they are the certification platform, and CBRS Alliance is the authority, along with FCC. So we pretty much are writing all of the test cases that allows the CBSE device to be certified to be working as a CBSD Class A or Class B device. There is additional certification that OnGo will write to also have the actual device that talks to the access point to get certified. And then the third level of certification is between the actual CBSD device and the SaaS server. So there are multiple different stages of certification that happen: interop testing, validation, integration. So Radisys is playing a critical role in how the CBSD devices are coming onto the network. And if you look at the CBSE devices, typically a lot of these folks are who come from, they were doing small cells for 4G, for LTE. Now with the CBRS radio, so if they support band 48, they have a SAS agent integrated, and they've done the interop testing, validation with the SAS server, they now become a CBSE device. There are going to be a lot of players, say, from the Wi-Fi space who are coming in, saying that, hey, I have a Wi-Fi box, now I want to add wireless capability to it. I don't have the money to buy licensed spectrum, or I don't have access to the licensed spectrum. Now, using the shared spectrum that CBRS has opened up in the 3.5 gigs, they are able to now offer a LTE experience along with their Wi-Fi experience. But they don't just come in and say that, hey, just because I'm doing Wi-Fi, here's LTE. They have to go through different levels of certification for this band 48, and that's where this part fits in.
So it's going to be pretty easy for the enterprise, because if you are a big, nationwide mobile operator, it's going to be, the different process. But especially for a small enterprise, it's very clear. It's going to be very clear to them. This is a product. It's certified. I can use it with any SaaS, or and that's going to be all transparent, and they don't need to worry about anything as long as.
Yep. So the CBRS service provider, we will be setting up this entire CBRS network,
mm-hmm.
and as an enterprise, as the user,
mm-hmm.
then they are transparent to it.
Yeah. Now, a quick question: the CPEs, when you have like a wireless ISPs, for when you have a fixed CPE, does that need to be certified?
Yes, all kinds of devices, CPE, smartphones, the actual access points, everything has to get certified. And that's all of the work that's gone on for the last two years or more that the entire ecosystem has been working on.
Absolutely. Good. So this is really important, I think, to create the confidence in the market that everything, all the pieces will work together, because for the enterprise, there is more than there is, say, to Wi-Fi. The SaaS is an entirely new concept. But now, at Radisys, you also work not just on certification, but to enable the whole end-to-end system. Can you talk about a little bit about how do you support the new entrants, or the vendors, the small cell vendors? Because a lot of CBRS is going to be using small cells, or there's going to be a lot of indoor. So what is your role there?
It's every time we go to the CBRS Alliance shows, or when they have those carve-outs at MWC LA, for example, they'll have a CBRS, will have their entire set of booth with all their vendors. Lots of common friends there, lots of our customers, existing customers who are doing small cells. They've added the CBRS radio capability, and we have helped them in the migration by building the SaaS agent for them or integrating a SaaS agent for them. We've helped them with the CBRS added-on features. So if you have to do LAA, for example, license assisted access, take our TD, the time domain stack for LTE. We've added LAA features, which is a capability within LTE Advanced, as you know, a release 13 capability. And then we've brought that in with the integration that we can do for the SaaS agent, and then the end-to-end integration with the SaaS server. So we work at different levels with our customers. Not only are we enabling them from a software perspective, we are helping them productize and operationalize it along with our system integration capabilities that we offer. And then in the back end, there's a lot of the automation frameworks that we help them with to take them through the testing. So a lot of them come to us and say, hey, Radisys, help us through the certification testing. And we definitely help them there. It obviously helps that we know the other end of the certification platform, that we've written some of those test cases. But independent of that, for us, it's going through the testing. It's something that we've always done, even in the 3G LTE and more recently in the 5G domain. Now we've also brought that into the CBRS domain.
Absolutely. So you're working on the certification. It's a multifaceted work. So you work on the CBRS Alliance on the testing side, and also help the vendors that are participating into the testing.
Exactly. We help them get tested and certified.
Yeah, and assume you have to work on with the SaaS as well, because you need to have the SaaS agent to work with all the SaaS.
Absolutely. We have capabilities to write a SaaS agent. So we can, that's a plug-on module that we can provide to our customers. And on the other hand, we work with the different vendors for the SaaS server. So if you look at it from a network perspective, there's still an evolved packet core, the EPC.
Mm-hmm,
So
right.
when the device comes on and it says, okay, now I'm going to go, for example, on the CBRS channel and not the public LTE channel, then I have to understand how to route that call. I have an EPC offering that Radisys can provide for CBRS as well. And that EPC kind of forms the entry into the SaaS server.
Absolutely. So you're working with the EPC vendors, so, because there is a lot of small cell vendors that are working to provide a sort of a streamlined EPC for like private networks.
Absolutely. So broadly, if I would classify it, we work with the device guys in terms of the access points, not the actual UE device, but the access point guys. We obviously help with the UE interop and the UE device testing, because, you know, the access point is one endpoint, the other endpoint being the device. And on the other side, on the network side, we work with the EPC players, or we work with the access point guys who also want to bring in an EPC. And then we also go deeper into it and work with the SaaS server players. So we are working across the board with multiples of these ecosystem players who happen to be our customers.
Yeah, and so this is quite interesting, because you're seeing different um, business models in there as well. Because, and this is one of the most interesting parts of CBRS. It enables different business models for different vendors and different service providers to take different roles within the value chain. So if I may ask you, sort of in closing here, how do you see the market developing? Because there's so many opportunities, so many possibilities. Do you see some direction that is going to be dominant, or what do you think we should expect?
So the hardest part in all our jobs is to crystal ball it. You know this better than me, but we definitely feel that, you know, there's a healthy ecosystem for CBRS present. There's obviously room for additional entrants to come in, but what the whole industry now wants is to create the real proof points where, yes, we now have multiple CBRS sort of clouds that are out there, deployments that are out there. We're definitely seeing interest from the new entrants, and besides the cable guys, or, you know, the WIFs, we're also seeing the OTT players. They're jumping in with this service, and I think that it's the use cases, right? So the use cases for private networks, use cases like, you know, things about neutral host, stadiums. These are really the ones that are driving CBRS forward, because these are not currently, I would say, well served by the current set of the incumbent in terms of the operators. They also have, you know, specific domain experts for enterprise customers, but this is where really it's opening up. This is where a lot of the innovation is happening. So if you look at all the news, you know, that comes through, like lots of PGA golf courses are going CBRS. You know, Disneyland has said that they're going to go CBRS, for example. So it's not the first set of customer that you associate with, but then when you start reading this and you connect all the dots, you just look at the opportunities tremendous.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and as I said, there's a lot of underserved niches. A lot of potential there that CBRS can unlock.
Yeah, and I think end of the day, it's all about economics, right? So you're getting the benefits of a licensed spectrum without the sort of the economic burden that a licensed spectrum, the auctions, as we all know over the years, how much a spectrum costs. At the same point, you know, this is not just like saying that, hey, I have some spectrum and let's just start radiating and we can get up a service. So there's a right level of regulatory compliance, there's a right level of checks and balances to ensure that the quality of service and the service experience, rather, I should call it, is seamless. You know, there are issues around roaming between a CBS network into a public network. There are lots of things that we can talk about, but end of the day, this is becoming a more and more of an integral part of the overall wireless landscape of the deployments that we will see.
Absolutely. Well, Neeraj, thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thank you, Monica.
And thank you all for listening in and watching this interview with Neeraj Patel at Radisys. And we talked about the launch of, commercial launch of OnGo. Thank you so much.
Thank you.